Let me share with you 3 of my best all-time driver videos. You know, driving doesn't have to be that complicated, especially when you get some of the secrets that I'm going to share with you here. Let's go and get started. How would you like to just hit those laser drives right down the middle of the fairway? I bet you may find yourself sometimes sliding a little bit in front of the golf ball. It's very, very common. A lot of times I'll see players that get a little bit out in front in an effort to kind of pull that club through and down the fairway. It feels a little bit more powerful, even though in reality, it actually kills your distance. Another common thing when people are coming a little bit in front of the golf ball is they're doing it in order to square up the club face. So if we stay back, we have to learn to properly release the club to get that to square up and to get a little bit of a draw. If we're not really comfortable with that or we're not familiar with how to do that, a lot of times we'll take this right shoulder, we'll come a little bit over the top. This is a typical slight over the top move. Not a big, huge slice over the top move, but just a little bit of an over the top to try to square up this face and get that club lining up square down the middle of the fairway. So that can also be a problem too. When I'm coming in front and trying to square up that club face, I kind of have to slide in front to be able to square the face in that way. The problem is, again, we're going to lose a lot of distance. We're not going to be able to release the club properly, and we're going to get those low drives. Do you ever hit those low drives that just kind of come out in the fairway? You'll see your playing partners just hit these booming drives, go way up in the air, and then yours kind of come out a little bit lower. Maybe they fade off to the right a little bit as they're leaking into the right rough or into the right side of the fairway. And the worst piece of all, if this sounds like you, is when you swing harder, your ball actually goes shorter. It tends to get a little bit more spin, doesn't result in a lot more ball speed. Well, if that sounds like you have these problems, that sounds familiar to you, I have an awesome video that's going to help you to get more club head speed and hit the ball a lot straighter. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we talked about why the slide in front, it's going to kill your distance, it's going to lose accuracy. What do we need to do now? It all comes down to this left shoulder. We actually want to stay behind the golf ball. You notice in a great golf swing how we really load up to our right side, our shoulders rotate, and then from there, my lead shoulder never gets in front of my left foot. And the way we would see this is if I took a vertical line and I drew it from the center of my left foot straight up and down, just like a vertical wall here, you wouldn't want to see your left shoulder get in front of that vertical line. We want to stay behind that line. That way we can really feel like we clear out of the way. If you stay behind this golf ball this way, I can release that club out in front. I'm going to get more power, and I'm going to feel like it's just so much easier to be consistent when I do this. So if that's the case, what do we need to do to actually ingrain this? Well, it doesn't help that a lot of instruction out there, tons of instruction talks about getting to your left side, getting your weight left, hitting through the golf ball, getting on your left side. That can really be overdone. And I have a great step-by-step drill here that's going to help you to kick that habit once and for all. So let's go ahead, get right into it. I want you to drop the club and put your arms across your shoulders. Now the first piece of this, and if you're sitting at your chair right now, you're watching this video, do the drill right now with me. We're not going to get any better just watching it. I want you guys to stand up, do this drill. You're going to be better in the next 5 minutes. Put your arms across your shoulders here, and I want you to rotate until your shoulders get to at least a 90-degree turn. Now, if you're not very flexible, that's completely fine. You're just going to loosen up this left leg, let that heel kind of come off the ground, let these knees start to move a little bit to loosen those up, and that's going to allow you to get that shoulder turn. Now from there, piece number 2, I'm going to get a little bit of a drop. Now the drop's very important. As I drop down a little bit, I'm getting some flex in my knees. I have to get my knees flexed so that I can really use my legs to rotate through this shot as I'm coming through. If I stay high and I'm way up here and I'm kind of coming away from the ball, I can't really rotate. I'm going to be all arms coming into it. So that second piece of a little bit of a drop, I'm going to feel like my shoulders drop down about 1 inch or 2 inches. That's all we have to do. That really is helpful. Now from there, I'm going to imagine that wall or that vertical line here. And what I want to do is as I start to shift to the left, even when my body opens up, I'm going to keep my left shoulder behind that wall, and I'm going to imagine that my shoulder slides up and away from that wall as I come on through this shot. So there, piece number 1, big turn, a little bit of a drop. As I open up, I'm going to go ahead and open up, shoulder behind that wall, and then I'm coming all the way to a good full finish. I'm going to feel like my shoulder slides up that wall. You can see how I'm using my legs to turn all the way on through. And as I finish my swing, my shoulder is coming even farther away from that and behind my body. Now, why is this so important? Why would this lead to consistency? Well, there's 2 reasons for this. Number 1, it's going to allow your club to do a lot more of the work. If I'm sliding in front, I have to take my arms and club and push across my body to get club head speed. Notice how my left wrist breaks down, might get a little bit of chicken wing in there. If I stay behind this and I get some lag, as my left shoulder turns out of the way, Now my club can really extend and it can whip through contact and get a lot of club head speed that way. So it's going to help you to get a more effortless club head speed, and then it also helps the club face to release. If I stay behind this golf ball and I keep on rotating, the momentum of that club face is going to want to release as my body continues to rotate on through. If I slide in front, very difficult to keep on rotating. I'm going to have to be all arms, and again, you get that low shot, tends to fade a little bit, and we lose a lot of distance. So let's go ahead, finish up now. We're going to bring it to the second piece of this drill. We've done it with the shoulders. Let's do it with our arms out from our side. Now, if I was to take my arms and kind of rotate them level with the ground, that's exactly what's happening in the golf swing. The only difference in the golf swing is that now, instead of rotating level with the ground, all you're going to do is hinge forward to where you can imagine it's at an angle pointing down to this golf ball. So that would be a swing plane, or basically the overall motion of the golf swing. Same thing here. The only thing is, if we want to hit a little bit of a draw, instead of having that be square to my target out in the distance, I'm going to go ahead and tilt that a little bit to the right. So imagine this plane of glass now has been tilted to the right side, almost into the right rough or the right edge of the fairway, and I'm going to let my arms and shoulders swing that way. Now that makes it a lot easier to stay behind the golf ball. The more I tilt this to the right, the easier it's going to be to get a draw, the more behind the ball I'll be. If I tilt this to the left, all of a sudden I'm getting in front of the golf ball, I'm coming over the top, causes a lot of problems. So go ahead and tilt your shoulders to the right, get that same feeling. That left shoulder goes down and then it clears up and out of the way of this vertical wall that would be out here. Do about 10 reps of that to really get comfortable with moving out to the right. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying not to open up. You go ahead and use your legs to open up your body, but we just want to have our shoulders a little bit more tilted to the right if we're going to hit a bit more of a draw. The third piece here, let's go ahead and grab a golf club and really focus on the first key checkpoint here should be, I want to actually hit balls down the right side of the fairway. So if I tilt my swing plane a little bit to the right there, I make sure that I swing toward the right side of the fairway or even a little bit in the right rough. I want to see that ball go slightly to the right at first. There we go, and that one was right down the right center of the fairway, almost the right edge of the fairway. Hit it really hard, but don't be alarmed if you're typically used to falling in front. Don't be alarmed if that ball goes a little bit farther right than what you'd want. This is the first step of this drill. Once you work through these, we've corrected your swing path, but now we got to fix the release of the club like I talked about earlier. So now let's walk through exactly what you're going to do with your wrist. If I take out my left wrist here and I put it right in front of my body, this would be what I'd call a neutral wrist position, meaning that from my forearm all the way down through my hand, that's all one straight line. There's no flexing of my wrist. This would be called wrist flexion, where my palms toward my body. There's no extending of my wrist, which would be my knuckles back toward my body. My wrist would be completely neutral. What I want you to do is go ahead and get in what's called wrist flexion, where my palm is facing back toward my body. And then from here, I want you to get used to feeling like if you had this on a tabletop, you were going to take your logo and you're going to twist it in a circle. So I'm going to head almost like you're going to throw a frisbee. If I'm going this way and then I'm going to release it by doing that, that's exactly what I want you to feel. So this is the opposite of what most players that are sliding in front are doing. If I slide in front and get that kind of a release, I'm going to be chopping straight down into the golf ball. If I stay behind it, I'm going to be like Dustin Johnson, where I'm bowing that wrist, releasing on out in front. So get that flexion and then feel this motion, like I'm going to throw a frisbee. That's going to release that club head. If I grab this club, what I'm demonstrating there is a very exaggerated feeling of releasing that club and getting that face to turn on over. If we look at this club face now, look how it's really turning on over toward the ground. Again, that's an exaggeration, but that's the difference in what the pros are doing. You watch when the pros release, their club isn't like this and open. Their club is turning on around and releasing to help that ball get a little bit of a draw or at least hold straight. That's the right wrist. Get in a good 15, 20 reps of doing that with the right hand only. Now let's take it to the left hand, or the left wrist. Let's take it to the right hand. Opposite with the right hand. The knuckles are back towards your body. The palm is down toward the ground. And the same thing. I'm going to get this feeling where my wrist stays angled back and I'm going to head and turning that hand over. Now in reality, I'm giving you exaggeration here. In reality, those wrists will be releasing and flattening out to neutral again, but I want to go extreme for those of you who are getting a little bit too much of fade on the ball. Feel like that right wrist stays back and you're going to go ahead almost like you're bowling and you're going to get some side spin on it to get it to curve back in. I'm really going to let that club turn on over. If I can pair that up now With the golf club, it's going to look like this. Coming from the inside, my swing path is to the right, and now I'm releasing that club head. I'm going to go really slow. Look how that face turns on over. Again, this is extreme, this is exaggerated, but this is the feeling that you need to have to get the correct type of release if you're typically a slide in front type player. So once we've done those two things together, now we're ready to put them both together in a swing. We've got the path, or my shoulder angle, my swing plane to the right, and now we're getting the wrist, or what I feel like I'm doing to release the club, turning that ball back over. So now I can feel with confidence, I can hit it toward the right side of the fairway and still have that ball draw back to the center of the fairway. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. All right, perfect. I started that one right down the right center of the fairway, drew back into the middle of the fairway. Couldn't have done any better than that. All right, we all want to step up to the golf ball on a nice par 5 like this and be 100% positive that our golf ball is going right down in the center of the fairway, crushed. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the misconceptions out there about hitting it straight, how actually hitting purposely fades and draws, learning how to shape shots, and this is for 20 handicappers, 25 handicappers, beginning players, all the way down to scratch players. If you learn to hit these shots and go over the real deal that I'm going to talk about in this video, you will hit the ball straighter. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to dumb it down. I'm not going to simplify it. You're going to get the real instruction here. And if you apply this to just one range session, I promise you, you will hit the ball straighter. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's talk about how to straighten up these drives. Now, one of the worst things that you can do that's really going to make your drives not only shorter, but more errant, more crooked, is if we try to tighten up and guide our swing. So what ends up happening is we kind of go in this deadly spiral of we hit a bad shot. So let's say we make a nice swing, we're feeling confident, and we slice it over into the water here. Or let's say we snap hook it almost out of bounds or into the trees. Well, in the next hole, or maybe on this hole if we have to re-tee, we automatically think, all right, well, I'm going to tighten up. I'm going to try to guide this. I'm going to try to steer this club through contact a little bit more because I don't want to hit another bad shot. And what happens is you end up shortening up your swing. We don't make a full backswing. When we don't make a full backswing, now we're going to lose distance. And when we tighten it up, even though it feels like it may be in more control, what ends up happening is we second guess it, we guide it. We're using our conscious mind to try to steer it rather than letting our subconscious and our practice let that go and release through the shot. So you hit one bad shot, and that's bad enough, that hurts your score. But then we tighten up the swing, we lose some yardage, and our consistency and how straight we hit our drives doesn't even get any better. So what do we do from there? We hit another drive that's not very good. It's a little bit shorter and not very straight. And then we say, okay, well, I didn't shorten up enough. I gotta go even more controlled, guide it even more, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Until eventually one day we say, the heck with it. I'm not even gonna try to guide it anymore. You get to the range, you start to free yourself up a little bit, and then you start to hit some better shots, and it gets a little better, just to repeat the cycle all over again. So let's talk about how to break this cycle. I'm going to give you real step-by-step drills to help you do this, not just ideas and theories. You go to the range, you follow these drills, you will start hitting them straighter. Now the first thing is, whenever we're hitting this golf ball, we need to release through the golf ball. One of the worst ideas that we can have is try to hit at the golf ball to guide it or steer it down the fairway. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and open up my body. I'm going to have my hips almost 45 degrees open when I'm at contact. I'm going to have my chest 20 or 30 degrees open at contact, and then everything is going to be releasing from there to what I call the straight line release. So from contact and through the ball, out to here to in front, my hips, my shoulders, everything is opening up. My hands and arms are all pointing to about that 45 degree in front position. That's what we call the straight line release in the top speed golf system. So if I go ahead and put a golf ball in front of the ball that I intend to hit, about 4 feet, that's the point that I'm trying to release towards. So if I tee up another one here, the last thing I want to do is try to steer or guide or hit that golf ball down the middle. I'm going to go ahead and swing freely on this golf ball. Let me go ahead and see if I got this on my target line. Yeah, it looks good right down the left side. I'm going to go ahead and swing freely toward this golf ball and let the club do the work. I'm going to trust that the releasing of this golf club is going to allow me to hit it straight. So I'm letting my body open up, I'm letting this club release through the golf ball, and let's see what happens here. See if I can get one down the middle of the fairway. There we go, right down the center of the fairway. Nice little fade. Just ended up in the right center, right side of the fairway. Great shot there. So I didn't try to guide that or steer that or have it go, you know, any control on that. I just let it go ahead and swing. I trusted that if I let this club release in front of the golf ball, it's going to make things a lot easier. Now, we can't just stop there. That's the overarching idea. We can't control and guide. We have to free up the swing, let it release on in front like a straight line release. But from there, now we need to learn to control the face and the path. So am I swinging right and letting the face release to hit a draw? Am I swinging a little left like I did on that one and letting the face stay open to hit a fade? And if we practice these, we're actually going to get better and better and better the more we practice them. It doesn't take a ton of time, just a couple of quick range sessions, and you're going to see a noticeable improvement. So let me grab my flight scope here and let's talk about some of these angles that we're going to look at to control face and path. Now what I want to see here is I want to see if I'm going to hit a fade, I want my path or the direction I'm swinging to go a little bit to the left. And I want my face to be slightly open as that's happening. Just a little tiny bit goes a long way. If I want to play a draw, I want to come from the inside and let that face release and turn on over. Now here's the thing, everybody knows that, but everybody's been practicing it the wrong way. All the motor learning research out there has shown some really good secrets that we can do to speed up our practice and our improvement. If you want to hit it straight, what we have to do is actually practice something called interleaving or random or variable practice, meaning that I'm purposely going to try to hit a draw and then I'm purposely going to try to hit a fade. Now we're going to tie that in with a feeling of releasing the golf club rather than steering it, and it's going to make it even easier. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and just set up a tee on the ground, and before I ever hit a golf ball, I'm just going to swing with my left hand only. Now again, this is going to help me to relieve some of the tension in my swing. I'm not really going to tighten up and try to guide that through there. I don't have a lot of strength when I'm just swinging one arm only. So I have to get the momentum of the club working kind of inside out. So I can see this club's coming from the inside and then releasing on over. Look how the club face is going to turn all the way on over. Now like it's almost pointing back down to the ground. I'm really exaggerating here. That would be a big draw type swing. So what I'm going to do is just put my right arm behind my back and I'm going to do 5 swings, really big draw, come from the inside, let that face release. And I just want to let the momentum of the club do the work. I'm not trying to steer it and turn it over. I'm trying to position myself in a way and let the momentum of the club swing in a way that it naturally is going to go ahead and turn on over. And I'm visualizing that ball starting out here and really drawing back to the left. Now it's really important to do these practice swings first and get the feel of that kind of effortless draw before we go into actually hitting a golf ball. If we rush straight into hitting a golf ball, we're going to tend to just do what we've always done. So 5 swings hitting that draw with our left hand. Same thing with the right hand. 5 swings, right arm only. Same thing, I'm letting that club come from the inside and I want to feel the momentum of the club rolling on over. Look at the face again there, really turning over. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do 5 of these swings where I really focus on clipping the tee and I'm letting the momentum of the club turn on over. Now if you do one and it feels like, oh man, I felt like I was going to fade that one, go ahead and do another one until you get 5 good ones. So here, when I make this swing, that one felt like a nice draw. The one before, I felt like I left the face open just a little bit. Now you'll be surprised how good your feel is. I bet you know immediately if you're going to hit a fade or a draw just by what you felt when you're swinging and clipping that tee. It's pretty amazing that your body is that in tune, but it really can be. So we're going to do 5 good left arm, 5 good right arm, and now we're going to go ahead and set up this ball and try to have that same free-flowing feeling. And I'm going to try to hit a nice draw here, kind of down around the corner on this par 5. Let's try it out. There we go. Now I took that one right around the corner there, started a little left, went even a little bit more left. That's perfect. And if we look at, again, we're not trying to hit these dead straight yet. That comes with a little bit more practice from this. But that one we'll see my path was a little bit inside out, 1.6 to the right. And because I went left, I went ahead and released that face even a little bit more. My face was 5 degrees to the left. So my face is really closing down or releasing, like we talked about, in relationship to my path. So you're going to do 5 practice swings, hit a couple balls until you really get one to turn over quite a bit. I don't want to hit a 2 or 3 yard draw. I really want to get that thing turning on over. Now from there, the cool thing is now your body starts to have a little bit of a muscle memory. I know muscle memory isn't really the right word, but it starts to build a little bit of coordination with hitting that draw. The way that you can mess this up, some of the things you want to guard against, I don't want to hit just a little tiny bit of a curvature, and I don't want to skip over the drills and rush through them to try to get to the end. We got to really take our time hitting these draws, then we're going to hit the fades, then we'll be able to straighten it out. Now the second piece on there, exact same thing, get rid of the golf ball. Now we're going to do fade swings. So now I'm going to feel like I swing a little left, so my body opens up. Again, I'm releasing on out in front, but I feel like as that club releases, so you can see the club shaft itself is releasing to our straight line release, but the face, instead of it really turning on over, is going to go ahead and stay a little bit more open. So the face is coming a bit more this way. Now this usually isn't too much trouble for most players. Most players tend to cut the ball a little bit too much, but we're going to still practice this. A little bit goes a long way. So if you start to hit a decent amount of cut, then you can really tone it down. So again, I'm going to the straight line release. I'm just feeling like I'm swinging a little left. And when that club shaft releases, the face is just staying a little bit open. So again, I'm going to do 5 what feel like they'd be a nice fade with my left hand only. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my right arm only. 5 what feel like it would be a nice fade. I'm not trying to guide it. I'm not trying to steer it. I'm trying to get the feeling of the momentum of the club moving through impact correctly. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and try to hit that nice fade out there. Lining up a little bit left, letting that club release on and out in front. I'm not steering it at all. There we go, and cut it right back into the middle of the fairway. So we'll see on this one, if I look on my flight scope, I should see my path or the direction I was swinging a little more left and my face a little bit more open. So my path was almost 9.8 degrees left, 10 degrees left. My face was 4.1 to the right, or meaning it's open to the direction I was swinging. So those are all basically just a big fancy way of saying, look, if you try to hit it straight and you try to guide it, it's never going to work. That's not the way that you can get really straight and accurate in golf. What we have to do to get straight is give up our feeling of control. Get used to letting the momentum of the club head hit some draws, the momentum of the club head hit some fades. So now I've found both ends of the spectrum, and now it's time to tone those down and get the straight ones here. So we got to really spend a little bit more effort getting ready for these. Now we're ready for the straight shots. Same thing, I'm just going to use 2 hands this time. So take the ball off the tee. I'm using this tee, and now I'm going to feel like I'm swinging squarely and releasing the club to the straight line release. It's not open like my fade. It's not really closing down a ton like my draw. It's just releasing at about a 45-degree angle there for the nice straight shot. So again, I'm going to swing 5 times, and in my mind I'm thinking, okay, what's going to feel like a nice straight shot? And I'm going to clip that tee. Okay, that to me felt like a little bit of a fade. So I need to go ahead and release my hands a bit more, let the momentum of that club roll on over a bit more, and you'll be surprised how accurate you are at this. Let's try another one out. There we go, that felt like a nice draw. So again, while you're on the driving range, making a few practice swings, I don't want to throw the golf ball down there and hit golf ball after golf ball after golf ball, because my tendency will be to tighten up and try to control. I got to clip those tees to let loose and feel like the club head is swinging freely. So now I'm finding that middle zone. Let's see if I can hit a fairly straight one here. Little bit left on that one. So again, when I felt like I released it, I just did a little bit too much. And you may find that same thing for yourself. It's not saying that every single one is going to be dead straight when you first start this, but you're going to hit most of them straight after you get a little bit more practice with it. So let's give another one a whirl. There we go, and that one was straight as a string, maybe 2-3 yards of fade on it, and it felt pretty good. So that's the real secret there. Everybody wants to rush right into hitting the straight shot. We've got to learn to control this club and how it releases. If I can work on this individually with each arm and get the momentum swinging in the right direction, now it's going to be very easy to find the center of the fairway. Try these drills out. I guarantee you, you'll like where you end up at the end of these if you follow my directions. Hey guys, awesome to have you here today. I'm gonna give you some great tips to help you start hitting your drive more accurate, more solid, and a little bit farther. And I'm gonna walk it through in the basics, let you know some things that took me a lot of time to figure out and are really gonna help your game. So first, let's go over alignment with the driver. Now, first off, we can kind of imagine our target line. What I like to do when you're practicing your driver on the driving range is just put some kind of stick, or you could put down another club, point it toward the target in the distance where you want to hit. Now, most players, as they begin to play golf, tend to struggle a little bit with a slice. So that means that their right shoulder, their right arm, and their body are kind of coming over the top. I'm exaggerating here so you can see this is not this extreme usually, but it's coming over the top, outside, and then that club is kind of wiping across the ball this way with the face open. And that causes the ball to start either straight or maybe even a little bit to the right, and then it really slices off well to the right. Now the tendency there, because the ball keeps on slicing to the right, is to line up farther and farther left. Well, that just exaggerates the problem, where now we're going to start coming more over the top to try to get the ball more to the left. It's going to slice even more. So the farther left you line up, the more it's going to slice. What you'll notice with pros is that typically they're going to be somewhere close to parallel with their target line. What I recommend is to close your stance just a little bit. Have this front foot a little bit more to the right. It serves two purposes. Number one, it's going to help you come more from the inside and get more of that draw. Now you'll learn to release the face. And number two, as you swing, you kind of imagine this driver's on a hula hoop, or swinging on a hula hoop here. As that club starts to move back up, it actually moves a little bit more to the left because you're hitting driver on the upward swing. So by lining up a little bit farther to the right, now as you start to swing back up, your club's actually moving pretty square to the ball. So set down this alignment stick. And one of the keys with top speed golf is you have to train things a little bit different. I like to go in the extremes. We'll practice this variability training. I want you to line up one where your feet are way to the left, make a swing, and this is on the driving range, see where the ball goes. Then line up to the right, way to the right, swing one there, still try to hit it toward your target again, and then notice what that does to the flight of the ball and the curvature of the ball. Let me go ahead and give you an example of those. This first one I'm going to line up to the left. Naturally, you're going to see this ball wants to start slicing a little bit more. So you see that ball started to slice way out to the right. Terrible shot, really started to go over there, and that's going to be just in the right rough. Now I'm going to do the opposite here. I want you to go back and forth doing this for 10 drives. Don't worry about hitting good shots, just notice what happens as we do this. Now I'm going to line up to the right. Because my target's to the left, naturally I start to roll my hands more and get a bit more of a draw. So now that ball curved to the left, and again I'm exaggerating here, that's in the left edge of the fairway, but by changing my alignment, instinctively it's much easier to get a draw, because you know, subconsciously you just know, oh, I gotta release that club face. So practice that out on the driving range. Alternate 10 shots, one way to the left, one way to the right, one way to the left, one way to the right. Then from there, you can kind of fine tune, find that perfect alignment for your individual swing that helps you to get the ball to go straight. All right, so now let's move to ball position. This is really critical. If I want to drive far, if I want to hit the ball really far, I need to be catching that ball on the upswing. Not a lot of loft on a driver, and essentially what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get this club moving on the upward swing and de-lofting, so it's almost like a knuckleball. The ball starts to spin this way and knuckle through the wind. That's the visualization that you have. In reality, it's always going to have some backspin, but that's what we want to be picturing in our mind. So to do that, to get the most distance here, I want to tee the ball up fairly high. The higher you tee it up, the more potential you have to hit it on the upswing, the more potential you have for distance. That's why I notice long drive guys tee the ball way up in the air, really, really high, so they can really hit up on it. I want you to tee the ball up at least a half a ball over top of the driver head. I'm going a little bit more exaggerated here just to kind of show you what I mean. Play that ball at least where, if you're looking at it from face on, it's going to be somewhere around the left heel all the way up here to the middle of the left foot. I don't want to get this ball way back in my stance, or I'm going to tend to hit down on it more. I may hit some good shots. This is more of a conservative approach. If you just want to get one in the fairway, this might be good. But if I really want to get some good distance, I'm going to play that ball up in my stance. As that club swings, you can imagine the bottom of the arc is here, and it's actually working back up as I'm actually hitting into the golf ball. So let's try that out. Put it up in your stance. Remember, line up a little bit to the right here, and then I'm going to work on hitting kind of a high top spin knuckleball is what I'm going to visualize, so that ball really penetrates through the wind and gets my maximum distance. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. There we go, crush that one right down the middle. Let's take a look. That's about as good as I can hit one there. Let's take a look at the flight scope numbers now and see what my angle of attack was. So in flight scope, it's telling me that that shot was positive 2.8 on the upswing, meaning my club is moving up 2.8, 115 miles of club head speed, 301 yards, 300.9 yards of carry, 334.3 on the drive. I can't do much better than that. All right, so now we got to get some distance. It doesn't matter how straight, how good our alignment is, if we're hitting an upswing. If we can't swing that club pretty fast, we're not going to hit it very far. PGA Tour average is about 113 miles an hour. LPGA Tour average is about 96 miles an hour, and I think the Senior Tour, Champions Tour, those are the 50 and over offers, are swinging about 106 or 104 on average. I can't remember the exact number there. So that gives you a good idea of kind of where you should be if you're an elite player. But the big key here is, no matter where you're at, we can make some technique changes that are going to help you to speed that up. The first one is going to be how much I turn my body. So if you watch really good, longer players that hit it pretty far, they're going to let their hips, their shoulders, and their arms go really far back. So if I stop my swing here, and this is as far as I go back, my shoulders haven't turned very much, my hands haven't gone very far back, and I only have from here to where my hands come at contact. So I only have from here to there to accelerate this club. This very short amount of time I can move my hands. If I can let my hips, my shoulders, and my arms go farther back, now I'm creating more room to accelerate the club. The more room you have, the faster you're going to swing if you put out the same amount of effort. So unless you're really big, really strong, you're the kind of person that can throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, slam dunk, on a basketball court, I would recommend going a lot longer back. Even if you can do all those things, if you go longer back, you're just going to get even more distance with that. So let's do a drill here. Now we're going to go ahead, take your stance, put your arms out to the side, and I want you to practice rotating your body until your arms are kind of pointing what would be behind the golf ball. So I'm setting up here, my arms are turning behind the golf ball. As I come on through, now I'm letting this right foot come up, I'm letting my hips pivot through, my arms will be turning past the golf ball here, and then I'm coming to my good full finish. So it's going to look like this as we do this drill, and that just gets your body loosened up, gets you making that good full turn and really hitting it hard. So as you do that, 20 or 30 reps, you're going to feel that same feeling, that free-flowing feeling, then incorporate that with your actual driver. Now make some practice swings, another 20 or so practice swings, getting that good full turn both back and through, then you're ready to hit some shots. On this one, I'm really going to focus on that big turn, and let's see what kind of swing speed we can get. There we go, not quite as solid as the one before, but I'll still take that. Felt like I swung pretty hard on it. Let's see what kind of miles per hour we had. All right, my club head speed is 118.5, very happy with that. 284 carry, it went a little bit lower, really ran over the hill and got 321 total distance. All right, so the final piece here, we gotta release this golf club. The natural tendency, what I always did when I first started to play, what I see basically every golfer, I've seen thousands of golfers in lessons, and every single one of them has the natural tendency when they first start to play, which is as you get from the top, you wanna hit this ball really hard with a lot of speed, so we start to push the club, to cast the club early, and what ends up happening is we lose this angle called lag in our wrist. We burn all that speed up back here, and then when we get to the ball, the club's actually slowing down. What we want to have happen is we want to actually increase this lag as we start down, get a good sharp angle here between our club and our arms, and then from there, we have to release this club out in front. So I want you to do a really easy drill here to get familiar with that release and start to get that speed where you need it, which is right at the golf ball. So I want you to just go ahead and take a half back swing. Imagine this is our downswing here. And I want you to get this sharp angle between your hands and arms. Now one key is I don't want this club pointing straight up and down. I want it to be a little bit flatter from here. Some people call this getting into the slot. Really key to being able to hit solid shots over and over. So I get in the slot here, I have this nice angle of lag, and then from there, I want you to open your hips. Go ahead and let your feet rotate, your knees rotate. I'm gonna open my hips, and I'm gonna release that club to where now I've gotten rid of all these angles. That's what we call the straight line release in our top speed golf system. And I've let that club whip on through. So a couple practice swings, halfway back, and then go to the release. Hips, shoulders, arms, everything's released in front. Do that about 10 or 15 times just to get the overall feel of that motion. You don't have to try to do it fast. You don't have to do anything fancy there, just get that feel. Then we're going to incorporate that same feel as we're making a full practice swing. So your full back swing, I'm going to feel that lag, I'm going to feel the club release in front. If I do that, now I'm going to get that whip action happening right at the golf ball. So here, a great way to feel this and a great way to train differently so that actually you get the feeling faster is exaggerate both extremes. As you start down, cast the club and then try to swing through. So it'd be something like this, and you'll see how I don't have very much speed. And then the next one, get a big angle of lag, release the club in front, and now you can start to hear that whipping on through contact. So 15 to 20 practice swings alternating. One cast, one good lag one, and then release in front. If you always visualize releasing in front of the golf ball, that makes things so much easier as you go out to play. So that once you get comfortable with that, let's go ahead and hit a couple more, or we'll go ahead and hit on some on the range. I'm gonna go ahead and try to really rip one. I may not be the straightest on this one, but I'm gonna try to see if I can get it the farthest of any of them that I've had so far. Let's give it a whirl. Oh, a little to the right. Still a good drive. I don't think I'm gonna beat my last one. I killed the one before that, or 2 swings ago. So let's see what the flight scope says. Club head speed was 117.4, 290 carry, 320 total distance. Hey, hitting it well. Follow those keys. Get the right ball position, get your alignment so you can work on those fades and draws and then straighten it out, and then get that lag and release in front. It's gonna make driving so much more easy. All right guys, hope y'all really enjoyed this video. At the end of this, I really talked about how you wanna get some great lag, get that club to whip through contact and release in front. Well, that's what we call top speed lag and the straight line release. I'm gonna play a bonus video talking about one of the top lag mistakes that I see players make. It kills their lag, and once you switch this idea, you're gonna start to add some speed to your swing. So that bonus video is gonna play here in just 1 second. All you need to do is click the iCard up on the screen or the link down below in the description, and you'll get instant access to that full video, plus 5 bonus videos from our Top Speed Golf system. I can't wait to start helping you guys with your game. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video, we're gonna talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see. And in this drill, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're gonna try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm gonna talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also gonna give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position, exact same thing happens when we're building lag in the golf swing. So what we wanna do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be.